morning, English language learners. I am Arham, and today we'll be looking at the second part in our synonyms for good vocabulary video lesson, or even for the word nice. And we looked at their meanings, we looked at some of their contexts, we looked at some of their usages as well. In today's class, we'll just pick up from there. I didn't want to bog you with all the words in one class, so that's why we're looking at them today. And it's a good idea that you have your worksheet on you so that you're following along and that you can complete the worksheet at the end of the lesson. Alright, so someone who is very robust or vigorous is just someone who is energetic, hale and hearty, with lots of, blood pumping through him, good athletic person who perhaps, when you think of the word robust, you can also think about a robot. So robots basically are very robust. They are on energy, on a high all the time. They don't need any sleep or anything to recharge themselves. They're just going on and on and on. So a robust person is similar to that. You can also have a robust conversation, for example. It could be full of liveliness or animation. Anyone who is quite vivacious, energetic, youthful, even though he is not necessarily young, but just strong in the way that they come off, would be robust and vigorous. Also have a lot of words which could be related with food. So for example, we have the word piquant. Piquant is a word that means that something is sharp, tangy, a little bitter, a little bit sour maybe, but in a pleasant way, in a nice way. So you could say the piquant lemonade. But piquant can also be used in another way. For example, if you had a piquant conversation, so a conversation which was very stimulating, or a message or idea that piqued your interest, that piqued your curiosity, or piqued your mind into working further and faster. Toothsome just means something that you would like to put your tooth to. So something very tasty, a toothsome bite, a toothsome morsel, a toothsome dish. Palatable. Now palatable has to do with your palate. So something that's palatable is something that is flavorable but maybe not exceptional. Maybe something more Ambrosian would be something which is absolutely incredible, something absolutely delicious, a dish fit for gods, Ambrosian. You can also see words like healthy, nutritious, wholesome. You must have heard of whole bread or whole grains. Wholesome foods are just foods that keep you full for longer and are more nutritious in terms of their fiber content, their mineral content, the vitamins that they have, and all of that. You have also a word salubrious. Salubrious just means to be related to good health. So he would like to eat more salubrious meals in the future. That could have been his New Year's resolution. So that is also an interesting word. Okay, supposing you have a person who is very particular about how they work. They like to be more perfectionists than anything. They like to make sure that everything is accurate and precise. So maybe you could call them meticulous. In the last class, we had also seen that if someone is more honest and noble, he could be called ethical, moral. He could also be called scrupulous. Scruples have to do with your morals. And it's very similar to the word scrutinize. So when you can scrutinize someone and that person, when you judge someone very closely, very harshly, and that person comes on top, he's still perfect, so he's full of scruples, full of morals and values, and so you could say he's a very scrupulous person, or this was a scrupulous act that you did. Similar to scrupulous, you also have words like principled, unimpeachable. Unimpeachable is an interesting word. I would like you to see it. What does impeachment have to do with presidents? You can look at that. Presidents and prime ministers. One who's inculpable. Inculpable means that they have no flaw in them, or they cannot do any sin. So that also could be a good word that you can look at. We have another word, exemplary. I'm sure you've heard of it, but exemplary just comes from the word example. So if you can set an example of something, then that thing is exemplary. An exemplary answer that now I will share this answer with others as well. If someone is very obedient or very polite, prim and proper, always knows how to carry himself with the correct comport, with the correct mannerisms, then that person could be called decorous. He knows how to decorate himself nicely or in the correct way. So for example, in a funeral he would act more silent. In in a party he might be the life of the party, but making sure that he's not being too loud or too obtrusive. Also we have the word compliant. Compliant just means that you like to comply. It comes from the word compliant, it also comes from the word pliant. To be pliant is to always accept or to take the shape of something. So for example, if I like press you this way, if I press it this way, then you would make that mold in that way. And that. Okay, now let's talk about if you're very good at your skill. Very, very good. We had in the last lesson seen the word competent or up to par. In today's lesson, we look at if you're fantastic, if you're absolutely out of the world. You could be called a virtuoso. Virtuoso basically is a person who's very good in the arts or in music, and absolutely brilliant, so very, very proficient and expert, adroit, adept at what he does. We also have some simple words, you may have heard them, authentic, legitimate. So if I say, is this a good shirt? So you could say, yes, it's authentic. It's authentic, Louis Vuitton or authentic Gucci. It is legitimate. Is this company legitimate? Yes, it is legitimate because they have been in business for X amount of years and they have had no problems. No one has had any problems with them. Another word maybe you may have not encountered, bona fide. Bona fide just means, again, to be very authentic. So you could ask, is this thing bona fide? And if it is something that has legal and moral standing, then you would say, yes, it is. Okay, so we come towards the end of our lesson. We have two last words. One is winsome and one is expedient. Winsome is to be very appealing or attractive in a young, youthful, fresh and innocent manner, pure manner. So a winsome person, a winsome lady or a winsome boy, a winsome child who would win your heart, would steal your heart because of him or her being so pure and so true, so authentic. And the last one is expedient. Expedient is something that when you say that this is more expedient to do, perhaps you mean that it is something that is practical to do but may not be 100% the best thing to do. Like it might be in the gray area. It's not totally black, it's not totally white, it's in the gray area. For example, it may be expedient to cancel a contract if it's not suiting you anymore. So in that sense, well, you were in a contract, so you do have certain obligations, and especially ethical obligations, because you could default on a contract. You could try and break a contract, but you would be expected to even keep up with the contract because of certain moral grounds that you should be taking, or certain scruples that you need to adhere to. Because maybe by breaking a contract, what would happen is you would have certain repercussions, certain stipulations on you that okay, this you would have to do, but maybe they aren't as bad as the ones that if you continued with the contract, as the ones that you would have to face if you continued with the contract. So you're at this moral, gray ground, in this moral lacuna, in this moral shadow, that what should you do? So it would just be expedient to break it, but would it be the right thing? I don't know. That's for That's for you to think about. So that's where the word expedient all emerges from. It's something that definitely would have been the right answer. It's just the more convenient thing to do, but not necessarily the best possible in terms of your moral compass. At this point, I would love if you look through your worksheet. We have lots of interesting tasks for you at hand and lots of exercises. You would have to mull over the exercises and work them out as best as you can. I hope you have found this two-part series very informative and also educational. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.